5 marks. Okay, so each and every attachment, extra attachment, based on apa yang you attach akan dapat 5 marks. Okay, so which mean it is within that 15%. Okay, tapi kalau misal kata you all dapat dah memang you dapat markah penuh 15%, maknanya tak dapatlah bonus mark. Tapi akan dipertimbangkan jugalah untuk akhir nanti. Akhir nanti maknanya at the end of the day, your final exam adalah 40%, your continuous assessment adalah 60%. So saya akan lihat daripada 60% tersebut mana-mana markah yang boleh ditambah bagi tujuan untuk you all naik satu grade. Maksudnya katalah daripada grade B kepada grade A, contoh begitu. Okay, alright. Okay, we have 49 of us this morning. Ada apa-apa soalan ke before we start our lecture?
Doktor.
Yeah.
Doktor, saya nak last confirmation untuk submit. Kalau yang untuk both assignment tu, kita memang akan guna sample given in the Microsoft Team tu kan, yang doktor attach tu kan?
Sample itu hanya untuk sample adalah untuk you all buat rujukan. Okay, untuk you all buat rujukan. Okay, sama ada you akan follow atau you have ada creative way of drafting, then itu semua akan termasuk dalam markah lah, markah 15% tu.
Okay, baik. Terima kasih, Doktor.
Sama. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan yang lain? Okay, we have 50 of us today. Is there any question? Kalau tak ada question, okay.
Doktor?
Ya.
Yeah. Saya nak tanya berkenaan dengan yang attachment tu kan. Dia apa yang dimaksudkan tu? Yang untuk bonus mark tu kan, yang dimaksudkan tu dokumen dia, contoh dokumen dia, Doktor.
Ada spesifik tak yang katanya attachment tu? Gambar ke?
Tak, bukan gambar. Dia macam saya katakan, the most important thing adalah bila you draft you punya agreement, orang yang menanda iaitu saya can get the clear picture of actually what is the issue and what is the problem. Okay, yang you all pilih. So if let's say kalau problem you adalah berdasarkan kepada breach of contract contoh. Okay, breach of contract. Okay, jadi apa yang dimaksudkan dengan attachment tersebut adalah kemungkinan you akan masukkan a letter of invitation to mediate sebagai contoh. Okay, ataupun you nak masukkan sebagai contoh any agreement, okay, that particular contract, okay, you nak masukkan yang mana you nak tunjukkan bahawa dalam kontrak tersebut adanya clause berkaitan dengan clause mediation. Contoh, okay. Ataupun mana-mana maksudnya apa-apa dokumen yang dirasakan bersesuaian. Boleh juga you nak masukkan facts of the case, contoh kan. Salah satunya adalah, okay, you nak bagi tahu kepada saya, this is the facts of the case. So you pun tulislah situ apa facts of the case kat dalam tu. Dan kalau you kata you nak masukkan gambar pun bolehlah juga kan. Tapi gambar tu biarlah yang relevan kepada dispute occurred. Okay. So it can be any attachment yang mana kalau misal kata saya rasakan sesuai, dan nanti akan ada pertimbangan untuk pertambahan markah. Tapi attachment tersebut hendaklah dilampirkan secara bersekali bersama-sama dengan you all punya agreement to mediate. Okay, agreement to mediate. Sebab settlement agreement selalunya tidak ada attachment. Okay, sebab settlement agreement adalah selalunya the end product of whatever transpired during the mediation process. Boleh ke Imran? Am I answering your question?
Zan okey tak Zan?
Okey tak? Jangan risau, InsyaAllah semua okey. As long as InsyaAllah okey. Jangan risau-risau. The most important part adalah you guys contribute dalam group. Nama you guys ada dalam tu dan you guys submit benda tu dan insyaAllah akan ada markah. Jangan khawatir, okay? Jangan sampai tak tidur, okay? Right, untuk arbitration juga ada 30 markah ya. Juga ada 30 markah iaitu 15 markah adalah case study. Okay, 15 markah adalah case study. Okay, dan lagi 15 markah saya akan bagi you all dalam bentuk role play. Okay, role play maknanya presentation lah. Satu presentation yang mana you all akan buat infografik. Infografik. So infografik berkaitan dengan proses daripada mula dispute occurred. Mulanya ada dispute. Okay. Dan you bawa proses tu ke proses arbitration sehinggalah selesai. Okay, sehinggalah selesai. Okay, so saya akan bagi berkaitan dengan case case study dalam minggu ini. Okay, dan kemudian task untuk role play dalam minggu hadapan. Okay, so yang itu pun jangan risau-risau, jangan susah-susah hati. Okay, because kita ada lagi, ni minggu ke berapa minggu 7 ke minggu 8 Saya pun dah naik.
7.
Minggu 7. Okey, tepat sekali. Okey, minggu 7 So jangan risau. You all ada lebih kurang 7 minggu lagi untuk bersama-sama. Jadi insya-Allah kita akan cuba untuk you all punya role play tu insya-Allah kalau ikut jadual ini dalam minggu ke-13 hingga minggu ke-14. 13 hingga 14 untuk role play. So role play itu adalah lebih kurang ada satu kesilapan teknikal kat situ. Okey, case study adalah 10%, okey, 20% adalah role play. Okey. Jadi jangan risau, along the way nanti saya akan bagikan you all punya you all punya task berkaitan dalam minggu ini. Okay. So berkaitan dengan infografik role play itu adalah still berkumpulan. Case study tersebut adalah dalam bentuk individu yang mana you all akan present pada masa tutorial nanti So case study ni ada beberapa case yang akan di-assign dan you all akan pilih salah satu dan saya akan bagikan task itu kepada ketua-ketua TLB Alright. So itu adalah another lagi 30%, So another 40% tu adalah berkaitan dengan final exam yang mana saya sedang dapatkan feedback daripada pihak fakulti macam mana kaedah pelaksanaan final exam untuk you all, sama ada saya bagi dalam bentuk soalan tersebut saya release pagi ni pukul 9 dan you all kena siapkan sehingga pukul 4 petang ke contoh, ataupun dia dalam bentuk online yang you all kena buat dalam tempoh 3 jam ataupun 2 jam. Saya sedang dapatkan daripada pihak fakulti berkaitan details tersebut sebab saya masih lagi cuba untuk dapatkan format fakulti, sebab kalau untuk pelajar-pelajar di institusi lain saya bagi dalam bentuk assignment 1 hari ataupun 2 hari Alright. Okey, ada apa-apa soalan lagi? Okey, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan, saya rasa kita boleh mulakan dengan topik kita pada pagi ini iaitu berkaitan dengan Malaysian Legal Framework of Arbitration. Okay, in which kalau you follow course information, kita akan bincangkan berkaitan dengan a few issues, okay, in which berkaitan dengan development of arbitration legislation in Malaysia, okay. Kemudian berkaitan dengan Arbitration Act 2005. You need to know that we have two major amendments in 2011 and 2018 towards Arbitration Act, AA to Arbitration Act 2005, okay. Dan komponen nombor 4 arbitration practice in Malaysia tu kita akan bincangkan pada minggu hadapan, ya. So for today we have only 3 content, that we are going to discuss. But before that, before we begin our lecture for this morning, let us start our lecture by recitation of Al-Fatihah. Alright, okay. Thank you very much. So you guys boleh nampak ke slide saya ni?
Boleh, Doktor.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, ya. Saya baru dapat sebenarnya apa ni PowerPoint USIM je ni. Oh, cantik juga ni. Sejuk colour warna biru, ya. Okay. Berkaitan dengan our lecture for this morning, we are going to look into what is arbitration. Okay. What is arbitration? Okay. There is no definition of arbitration in our Arbitration Act 2005. But before that, you may ask me what will be the reference for arbitration. Not to be worried, same like mediation, I'm going to give you an e-book, an e-book, okay, for you to refer. You don't have to buy any arbitration book because I know that mediation and arbitration book costs a lot, okay. So even the book that I bought is around 400 to 500, okay. So you don't have to buy the book. I'm going to give you the e-book, okay, written by lawyers and also by academicians so that you can refer to, yeah. And you can refer to the article in the course information as well, okay. So this is something that I want to let you know. What is arbitration? You need to remember what is arbitration. Arbitration is unlike mediation. Arbitration is more structured, okay. Arbitration is more structured and it is based on contractual relationship. This is most important thing that you need to know. It is based on contractual relationship and it is a commercial based dispute resolution mechanism. Commercial based meaning that it is derived from any commercial transaction, okay. Any contract, yeah? For example, in terms of construction, for example, in terms of a few others. We will look into specialized arbitration, yeah, which involves certain industry, yeah? Not involving any family matter. You cannot resolve family matter through arbitration, okay. Okay, so what is arbitration? In these two cases, if you can see that in the case of Mara versus Kausa Corporation, Sdn. It's a 2009 case. The important thing that you need to know is arbitration is a contractual method of resolving disputes, okay. Meaning that by their contract, yeah, parties agreed to entrust the differences between them to the decision of an arbitrator or panel of arbitrator, okay, and to the exclusion of court, okay. And they will bind themselves to accept that decision once often seems to be this method to be attractive, yeah, and what that they think right, okay. So the key feature you need to remember is arbitration is contractual method of resolving dispute. By having that contract, they submit themselves to the jurisdiction of the arbitration tribunal, okay. So it will bind them. And why they entered into arbitration? Because they do not want to go or bring their case to the court, okay. Meaning that they would like to exclude their conflict to be referred to court, okay. So that is in Mara versus Kausa Corporation. In Cyber Business Solutions Sdn. Bhd versus Alsec Datamate SPA, within the same meaning, the court in that case, this is in 2012, the court say that arbitration is a mechanism in resolving dispute, okay, with agreement between parties. okay, with agreement between parties, and from that agreement give powers to arbitration. Okay, so this is very important. First, you need to remember there is agreement between parties because based on the contractual method. Okay, you all belajar berkaitan dengan undang-undang kontrak sebelum ni. Dalam undang-undang kontrak adanya pihak-pihak yang berkontrak, dan dalam pihak-pihak yang berkontrak tersebut, they agree, both of them agreed to refer the matter to be resolved with via arbitration. Okay, so this is very important, and this is something that you also need to remember. Whatever it is, arbitration derived from agreement. And arbitration agreement is a creature of contract. Yeah, this is based on Section 9 of Arbitration Act. Don't worry about Arbitration Act. I'm going to post Arbitration Act. I'm going to upload Arbitration Act in MS Teams soon. Yeah, so you can refer starting from next week. Yeah, so for today you just focus on my slide. Okay, so. Arbitration agreement is a creature of contract. Yeah, you need to remember that in arbitration there will be main agreement. Okay, let's say agreement, sale and purchase agreement. Okay, sale and purchase agreement of buying a commodity, for example. Okay, commodity, for example, macam kelapa sawit. Yeah, so there is an agreement between, let's say, A and B. To sell kelapa sawit, okay, for the purpose of for the purpose of untuk pembuatan minyak masak, for example. So that is the main agreement. Okay, that is the main agreement. Arbitration agreement is considered to be one of the provision under that agreement. You must remember, in all agreement there will be an arbitration agreement. What does it mean by arbitration agreement? A clause, arbitration clause in the main agreement. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, so that's why we call it incorporated by reference. Incorporated by reference. Okay, meaning that arbitration agreement, which is arbitration clause, itu ada di dalam main agreement dan dia dimasukkan sebagai rujukan, incorporated by reference. Okay, because sometimes let's take for example in construction, there will be a standard form of contract. Itu kita panggil SFC. Maksudnya dia dah ada template agreement and both parties akan refer kepada template agreement tersebut untuk membuat perjanjian. Jadi dia tak payahlah fikir kan, okay, dia nak buat macam mana, nak buat daripada scratch. Okay, sebab dia dah ada standard form of contract. Okay, nanti you all akan ada latihan untuk membuat standard form of contract. Okay, saya akan bagi link dia untuk setiap TLB buat sebagai task. Okay, right. So the most important part adalah arbitration ni must be written, not necessarily signed by parties, and need not have condition precedent. Ini dalam kes Ajwa Food Industries. How? Because apa dia kata, whatever it is, past conduct and transaction between parties will be counted. Okay, so whatever it is, it must be written and it is not necessarily signed by parties. Whatever it is, it must be reduced in writing. Okay, right. You may ask, okay, from where the arbitration ni datang? The origin of arbitration. If you remember surah An-Nisa kan, ayat 35. If you remember that this is one of the ayat yang mana diturunkan yang menyebut berkaitan dengan melantik dua orang, melantik pihak yang ketiga bagi menyelesaikan permasalahan yang melibatkan husband and wife. Okay, so kalau you baca kat situ, if you fear a breach between them, twin husband and wife, appoint two arbitrators, one from his family and the other one from her family, and if they both wish for a peace, okay, Allah will cause their reconciliation. Okay, and indeed Allah is ever all knower, well acquainted with all things. Okay, so ini ada dalam surah An-Nisa. Okay, and actually kalau you tanya sama ada arbitration ini ada ataupun tidak dalam Islam, yes, we do have arbitration in Islamic transaction, commercial transaction, yang mana kita panggil sebagai al-tahkim. Okay, al-tahkim, So, as well as you know that Quran and Sunnah, and Qiyas, combine to form a Sharia, and Sharia provide a foundation of principle that apply to arbitration as well. Okay, and if you learn about muamalat, for example, arbitration in Islamic law is limited essentially to property and personal matter where private rights are involved. And the most important thing is parties to a dispute relating to property can go for arbitration, and it is based on arbitration agreement that has to be fulfilled as a matter of principle, and arbitration clauses are valid as they are necessary for the efficacy of the contract and are beneficial to both of parties. Okay, so this is something which related to arbitration in Islamic jurisprudence. Okay, so this is the general feature of arbitration. Okay, why arbitration is so important? Arbitration is something which is internationally can be enforced internationally, because why? It based on New York Convention. Okay, New York Convention, we call it model law. Okay, and it can be enforced in 156 countries, all over the world, depending on the countries whether that particular countries had ratified the New York Convention. Okay, because in international law, if let's say that in Malaysia kita nak pakai undang-undang antarabangsa, Malaysia need to ratify. Ratify meaning that we need to submit ourselves and we must agree to that particular international law, so that in the end an international law can be applicable to us. Okay, so by having that international law in Malaysia, we need to have our own law to support that law. Okay, so we have Arbitration Act 2005. Secondly, it is a neutrality. It is a cross-border transaction versus domestic jurisdiction and national court system. What does it mean? You can have arbitration here in Malaysia, but the actual dispute happen in London. Okay, ataupun the actual dispute happen here in Malaysia. You can have arbitration in Singapore. You can have arbitration in England. You can have arbitration in Philippines or Australia, for example. Okay, to resolve your dispute. Okay, and it can be cross-border transaction. Okay, like what that we can see now, the massive project, massive project of Bandar Malaysia, for example. We received numerous investment from China. China came to invest. They invested in our infrastructure and our construction. Okay, so it involved Malaysia and China. If anything happened, for example, we can resolve our dispute anywhere in the world. Okay, and it can be enforced. Okay, if let's say that we have a dispute in Malaysia pertaining to a particular project, for example, Tun Razak Exchange, if any dispute, we can refer the matter to arbitration. Okay, and the arbitration will resolve the issues elsewhere in the world. Okay, so this is versus domestic jurisdiction and national court system. Kalau you all belajar Malaysian legal system, there is a territorial jurisdiction. Court dekat Johor hanya boleh mendengar kes-kes daripada cause of actionnya accrued in Johor, for example. Okay, same goes to court in Kuala Lumpur, only can entertain any jurisdiction of territory within the Kuala Lumpur. That is the second. Third is actually procedural flexibility, depending on party autonomy. Party may choose what law that they want to use. Okay, meaning that there will be two sets of law applicable. First is substantive law to resolve the dispute of that particular contract. For example, law berkaitan dengan sales of goods. We have SOGA, Sales of Goods Act, Malaysia. So they can choose whether they want to resolve the matter using Malaysian law or using other laws. That is the first law. Second is procedural law. Procedural law meaning that what sets of procedure that they want to govern their arbitration proceeding. They can use AIAC law. They can use Singapore SIAC, for example, Singapore International Arbitration Center, or they can use Hong Kong International Arbitration Center. They can use Shanghai International Arbitration Center, or any arbitration center, or London Court of International Arbitration Center. Okay, so meaning that it is procedurally flexible. Kalau you bawa matter to ke court, you kena abide by rules of court 2012. You tak boleh guna procedural law yang lain. But for arbitration, the procedural flexibility depending parties autonomy. Dia boleh pilih mana-mana undang-undang dia nak. Nombor 4 adalah availability of experts. Okay, maksudnya you can choose who that you want to appoint as an arbitrator. Okay, siapa? And normally kalau you appoint that particular person as arbitrator, normally they are the expert. Okay, they are the expert. Okay, and they have an institutional arbitration. For example, AIAC, they have a pool of arbitrator. You can choose whatever background. Okay, and arbitration, in arbitration, the arbitrator tidak semestinya latar belakang law. Okay, so this is something that you need to remember. Okay, general features of arbitration. Is it okay? Ada apa-apa soalan? You all boleh dengar ya?
Dengar.
Boleh.
Alright, okay, terima kasih. Alright. Okay, next we are going to look into the development of arbitration legislation in Malaysia. Because you need to know when you learn history, sejarah masa sekolah dulu kan, if you still remember that Malaysia has been under colonial power. So in Malaya, the origin of common law legal framework for arbitration as enacted by the dominant colonial power started with the arbitration ordinance. Okay, with the arbitration ordinance number 8, 1809 that only govern straight settlement, negeri-negeri selat, which is Singapore, Penang, Malacca. So thereafter, all states of Federation of Malaysia adopted arbitration ordinance in 1950. Then this was subsequently replaced by Arbitration Act 1952. Okay, and later Arbitration Act in 2005. Okay, followed by subsequent amendment in 2011 and in 2018. Okay, so this is very important for you guys to know about the list of arbitration development of arbitration legislation in Malaysia. Okay, so other thing that you need to know, which is while arbitration is reflective of the development in dispute resolution in Malaysia, the growth of other areas of alternative dispute resolution cannot be overlooked because they are equally important. That's why you learn about mediation, and I will introduce to you one more alternative dispute resolution mechanism, which is construction adjudication. Okay, in which the ADR cannot be overlooked, and they are indeed equally important as the world of commerce rapidly innovating at a very fast pace. Okay, so dispute resolution has also evolved from dispute avoidance. Okay, in the first place, they try to avoid dispute, to dispute prevention, how to prevent the dispute. And because of when the dispute are inevitable, you cannot avoid or prevent dispute anymore. And when when dispute occur, you need to manage the dispute. And finally, when all fails, then how to have a dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, so this is also very important. So when arbitration is considered as a conventional and rigid, there have been attempts to seek alternative to it. For example, mediation, conciliation, and adjudication proceeding, which is as a multi-tiered dispute resolution regime. For example, in construction contract, they will say that inside that particular contract, that when the dispute occur, first thing that you need to do is to go for a negotiation first. If the negotiation fail, then you go for mediation. And if the mediation fail, finally, then you can go to arbitration. Okay, so if the arbitration fail, then lastly, you will go to court as a last resort. Okay, so that is what we call as multi-tiered, multi-tiered dispute resolution. Okay, so this is also important for you to note that in most commercial dispute, often resort either to court or to arbitration, and you can see that ADR gaining popularity. So in Malaysia, we have Asian International Arbitration Centre, which is the leading arbitral body and ADR provider in Malaysia, in which operates a competitive environment where arbitrations, both domestic and international, are administered. However, there are others professional or association, others professional body or any association that also administered arbitration. For example, we have for architect. If you have a friend who are now in the architect studies, for example, or engineers, so they have a specific dispute resolution mechanism for them provided by their professional body. For example, Malaysian Institute of Architect or PAM. Okay, I think you've heard about PAM before, Persatuan Arkitek Malaysia. Okay, and they have actually a specific arbitration rules for PAM. I think latest is PAM Arbitration Rule 2018. They have Institution of Engineers Malaysia, and if you have your friends surveyors, Juru Uko, they have their own surveyors arbitration rules, or Palm Oil Refiners of Malaysia ataupun PORAM. This is also very important, as you know that Malaysia are the main palm oil manufacturer in Southeast Asia. Sebab tu European countries dia jealous dengan Malaysia. And kalau misal kata just nak kongsi dengan you lah, apabila you pernah dengar kan Sheikh Muzaffar pergi ke space, projek angkasa pertama Malaysia, kita menghantar angkasawan pertama Malaysia. So just nak share dengan you, pada masa itu dekat space tu dia ada space station. Dekat space station tu bukan semua negara ada pada space station tu. Yang ada adalah Malaysia, US, Russia, China and Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so in order for us untuk pergi ke angkasa lepas, we need to go and to have to visit one of the center. Nak pergi ke situ bukanlah satu kos yang murah. So apa yang kita buat adalah kita buat barter trade. Tahu tak barter trade? Pertukaran barter dengan Rusia. Okay, pada masa tu Perdana Menteri Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, dia buat arrangement dengan Presiden Rusia. Dia kata, we have a plan untuk hantar angkasawan, tapi we do not have enough funding. Kita tak ada cukup duit because cost terlalu tinggi. So Rusia kata, okay, why not we have a barter trade? Dan Pak Lah pun kata, alright, okay. Okay, we have a barter trade. So apa sebenarnya yang Rusia rasa boleh di barter trade? Because Malaysia nak pergi ke angkasawan, nak pergi ke Rusia punya space satellite. Dan Rusia kata, okay, you can go. Okay, you can go to my space satellite center. Okay, tapi apa yang boleh kita benefit together. So apa yang Malaysia katakan, we can barter trade. Kita bagi palm oil to Russia and Russia will sponsor in terms of money to our Angkasawan program. Okay, so that's why we have Palm Oil Refiners of Malaysia. Furthermore, kalau you all nak buat business sekarang ni pun, after this kita ada bisnes berkaitan dengan minyak, dan bisnes minyak kelapa sawit ni merupakan salah satu bisnes yang sekarang ini merupakan bisnes utama. Then kita ada Security Industry Dispute Resolution Center. Security industry ni bukanlah pengawal keselamatan ya. Kalau you all belajar Companies Act ya, securities ni adalah lebih kepada dispute that related to unit trust, derivative and any other capital market product. Okay, so capital market product, for example, you beli saham or shares, for example, and you face a dispute. Okay, so we have SITRAC ya, security industry ni di bawah Securities Commission, SC. Pernah dengar ke Securities Commission? You all belajar tak berkaitan dengan companies law?
Belajar.
Alright, okay. So which mean you pernah dengar berkaitan dengan securities industry as well, okay? So dia adalah juga govern under the Capital Market and Services Act 2007, okay? CMSA to deal with securities and futures and engagement in fund management. And you must remember that SITRAC ni dia adalah di bawah Securities Commission, dia adalah sangat powerful ya. So kalau misal kata you have a problem with any unit trust, contoh Amanah Saham Bumiputra contoh lah kan, tapi tak pernah ISB tipu kita orang ya. So contoh maknanya if you have any problem with any saham broker, okay, they are actually attached to the main company, which is for example Permodalan Nasional Berhad, which is the member of SC, because they are licensed by SC. It involves unit trust. So if you have any problem with them, SITRAC will resolve the issues. Okay, SITRAC will resolve the issues. Kalau berkesempatan, kita akan lihat lebih detail lah ya. Lepas tu kita ada Asian International Arbitration Center. You must remember Asian International Arbitration Center ni, itulah dia PKPB Kalau tidak boleh saya buat trip ke Asian International Arbitration Center, di mana diorang ada arbitration rules tersendiri, and they are like a private court, okay, which provide for arbitrator, which provide for rules and regulation. Okay, so untuk you all yang suka kepada sukan kan, kita minat bola sepak if let's say that we have a problem in terms of sports dispute, kita ada arbitration in sports law. Okay, mungkin you bertanya, oh apa masalah dalam sports law kan, berkaitan dengan kontrak pemain bola sepak kan ada beberapa pemain yang mana satu masa dulu semua jealous dengan pasukan JDT, sebab JDT ni banyak duit for example, so dia boleh mengambil mana-mana pemain dan pemain-pemain ni dia dah attach dengan certain club diorang ada kontrak dan diorang tak boleh dilepaskan begitu sahaja kecuali dengan kebenaran tapi kalau kita dapat lihat so the dispute arose adalah berkaitan dengan kontrak bola sepak. Okay, satu lagi adalah berkaitan dengan doping anti-doping law di mana ada di antara atlet yang tidak boleh bertanding kerana didapati positif dadah for example. Okay, berkaitan dengan Islamic financial system, Islamic banking for example, kita ada arbitration, syariah arbitration yang mana bezanya adalah kalau you all belajar berkaitan Islamic Financial Services Act, in any dispute, okay, in any dispute, you kena refer that particular matter untuk mendapatkan pandangan daripada Syariah Advisory Council, SAC. Syariah Advisory Council ini akan memberikan pandangan berkaitan sebab tu kalau misal kata you pernah dengar personality Datuk Dr. Daud Bakar, dia merupakan head of Syariah Advisory Committee Bank Negara Malaysia. So kalau ada arbitration matter, wajib untuk mereka rujuk berkaitan dengan the Syariah principle kepada Syariah Advisory Committee of Bank Negara. Okay, tapi itulah isunya. Rujuk tu wajib. Okay, tapi nak dengar ataupun tidak recommendation daripada Syariah Advisory Committee tu adalah isu yang kedua. So dia depending on the facts of the case. Okay, but I want all of you to know that we have actually Syariah arbitration, which is the first kind in the world. Yeah, to balance the principle of Islamic finance with arbitration. So it is a Sharia compliant and provide for, among other provision, the power for arbitral tribunal to seek reference from the Sharia Advisory Council or Sharia expert. Okay, Sharia expert. Apa yang dimaksudkan dengan expert? Expert ni apa? Dia berdasarkan kepada pengalaman dan kelulusan dan sebagainya. Okay, so that is the thing that you need to remember. Okay, if you come across maritime law, okay, international trade, for example, we have actually International Malaysian Society of Maritime Law, and in 2015 they came out with a resolution to have a special guideline and a capacity building to provide alternative dispute resolution services for maritime dispute. Okay, import export, for example. Okay, so that is regarding the maritime. Yeah. Then we have Construction Industry Payment and Adjudication Act 2012, which deal with all construction contract only. Construction contract made in writing. And it will include those entered by the government of Malaysia. So the procedure applies to construction contract, and adjudicators are appointed by AIAC unless otherwise chosen by the parties. And the beauty of adjudication is they have a time limit which is 45 days for the case to be resolved. Okay, right. If you have any problem with the bank, what can you do? Kalau you pergi dekat bank, you akan nampak situ you boleh buat aduan, Financial Mediation Bureau, FMB. Okay. Kemudian we have a Financial Ombudsman Scheme. Okay. Ombudsman Banks, Ombudsman Financial Scheme, OFS. Okay. Maksudnya if you have any problem, you boleh rujuk kepada this particular bureau. Okay, berkaitan contohlah kan, you transfer duit tiba-tiba, duit tersebut macam mana pula boleh tak ada dalam akaun saya. First, apa yang you boleh buat adalah you pergi mengadu kat bank tersebut, dan kalau bank tersebut tidak layan you, pergilah kepada Financial Mediation Bureau. InsyaAllah memang bank akan layan you. Sebab apa? Financial Mediation Bureau ini adalah di bawah bank negara, dan semua bank di Malaysia kalau nak beroperasi kena ada lesen bank negara. Okay. So memang power lah kan, sebab kalau kita dapat lihat, kalau tanpa ada bank negara, takkan bank semua setuju untuk moratorium COVID-19 kan. Jadi the powerful adalah bank negara. Okay, kemudian saya tak pasti sama ada you all ada ke buat attachment dalam you all punya study. Do you need to do attachment? Latihan sangkutan, latihan industri?
Ada.
Okay, ada tak di antara you all yang buat dekat Jabatan Bantuan Guaman?
Mungkin ada. Next sem kita akan buat. Mungkin ada
okay,
apply.
okay. Okay, very good. Maksudnya next time you buat you akan buat ni latihan industri
Ya betul.
Okay, nasihat saya pergilah kepada tempat-tempat ini yang saya rujuk ini. Contohnya Jabatan Bantuan Guaman, AIAC. Kalau misal kata nak dapatkan tempat, let me know. I will try to talk to them. So that you can get exposure, okay, exposure of your study. Okay, legal aid department ni, Jabatan Bantuan Guaman ni selalunya adalah untuk orang yang tidak berkelaikan, bukan tidak berkelaikan, orang yang tidak berkemampuan, yang mana mereka akan diwakili oleh Jabatan Bantuan Guaman. Okay, dan kemudian kita ada Malaysian Mediation Center. Malaysian Mediation Center ni adalah di bawah Bar Council. Dan you all ada tak subjek intellectual property? Ada ambil tak? Ada tak subjek tu dekat FSU? Tak ada Okey, sayang. Sayanglah.
Sam ni dia tak offer, doktor, bukannya tak ada.
Oh, tak di offer. Okey, IP untuk IP berkaitan dengan copyright, berkaitan dengan domain name, kita ada specific Asian Domain Name Dispute Resolution. Okay, kalau misal kata melibatkan, kalau you all nak tahu kan, you pergi ke mana-mana website, dia ada dia punya alamat website tersendiri. Contoh usim.edu.my. Okay. Untuk pendaftaran that particular website address, okay, itu namanya domain name. Okay, domain name. And domain name ni selalunya pendaftaran akan dibuat kepada satu badan diberi nama sebagai MyNIC. MYNIC. Okay, di mana MyNIC ini adalah Malaysian Network Information Center di bawah Kementerian Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia. Okay, so MyNIC ni dia ada domain name resolution policy. Okay, berdasarkan kepada rules. Contoh, if you have any conflict pertaining to domain name, okay, then dia ada satu mekanisme berkaitan untuk resolve the matter or the dispute that pertaining to domain name dispute resolution. Okay, dan ini adalah kita katakan berkaitan dengan specific forms of ADR in Malaysia. Banyak rupanya, kita ada 14. Ada lagi sebenarnya. Okay, ada lagi yang saya rasa kalau saya cover, tapi itu di peringkat antarabangsa ya, di peringkat antarabangsa yang nanti kita akan cover dalam minggu-minggu akan datang. So dekat Malaysia inilah yang kita ada ya, untuk bagi you all, kata orang tu an eye opener. Katalah you all nak buat latihan industri dekat institution berkaitan dengan dispute resolution, dan boleh ni ya, boleh nanti kita Roger. Okay, satulah yang saya nak cakap berkaitan latihan industri ni kan, ni satu benda terkeluar lah daripada topik kita ya. Pilih tempat yang mana you all boleh belajar. Okay, pilih tempat yang you rasakan you all boleh belajar. Contohnya, saya tak nasihatkan you all pergi kat court, sebab dekat court you tak belajar banyak. Yang you belajar banyak adalah dekat legal firm. Okay, so legal firm pula, contoh firm firma guaman, jangan pilih firma guaman yang terlalu besar dan ternama, sebab you all tak akan belajar juga. Lawyer dah terlalu sibuk, kes dah terlalu banyak, you tak ada access. So carilah medium size firm yang mana tidak terlalu besar dan tidak terlalu kecil ya. Yang mana kadang-kala kalau rezeki you all, sebab sekarang ni you all bersaing dengan pelajar-pelajar undang-undang yang lain. Kalau you all ada rezeki dapat firm yang mana you all akan dapat access kepada all the files, yang mana to a certain extent nanti dia akan minta you all draftkan analysis based on that file, draft surat dan sebagainya. So you all akan dapat more exposure. Okay, dan selalunya latihan industri ni adalah untuk nak buat sales lah untuk you all kan. Maknanya you nak market yourself yang mana so nanti lawyer tu akan ingat, dulu saya ada student. So untuk you all punya chambering purposes, okay, ataupun untuk you all mendapatkan pekerjaan di masa hadapan. Alright, itu kita boleh bincang kemudian lah ya. Alright, kita pergi kepada tajuk Development of Arbitration Legislation. So diam tak diam, sedar tak sedar, arbitration in Malaysia is not new. Okay, dan dia telah pun berevolusi. Okay, dan dia bermula dengan Arbitration Ordinance 1909. Okay, dan kemudian saya bagi tahu you all tadi, dia bermula daripada 19th century when English common law was introduced. Sebab tu kita ada Civil Law Act. Ingat tak Civil Law Act Section 3, Section 5? Ada tak you all belajar? Civil Law Act.
Belajar Section 3 ada.
Yes, Section 3 Commercial Transaction. Okay, nanti the time off limitation time off tu bila setakat mana civil law tu terpakai pada kita. Okay, so saya dah bagi tahu pada you all tadi, dia berdasarkan kepada Strait Settlement, negeri-negeri Penang, Melaka, Singapore, okay, and then spread into federated and unfederated, negeri-negeri Melayu bersekutu dan negeri-negeri Melayu tidak bersekutu. as English colonial power expanded. Okay, so when it comes to English common law, so it will follow the commercial trading companies. Kalau you masih ingat lagi, dia ada apa tu apa dipanggil di Sabah dan di Sarawak, dia ada Borneo. Saya pun dah lupa dah. Syarikat Borneo Utara, for example. Okay. Lepas tu due to the fact that kalau misal kata you all masih belajar, ingat lagi sejarah kan, apabila selepas zaman gelap Dark Ages, di mana British, Portugis, dia start keluar daripada negara Malaysia, negara mereka untuk mengembara bagi mendapatkan sumber-sumber, so they bring along their product as well as a commercial transaction. Okay, dia macam tengok cerita Jack Sparrow punya cerita lah kan. Okay, dan kalau kita dapat lihat bahawa in 1909 ordinance was replaced by ordinance 1809. Ordinance was replaced by arbitration ordinance 1890, and later in 1950 arbitration ordinance of 1950 which was based on the English Act 1889. 1890, okay, which is applicable for all Malayan states, and the ordinance of the arbitration ordinance 1950 remained in force after the declaration of independence in 1957. Okay, so kita pun kena cerita juga kita punya rakan-rakan di Sabah dan Sarawak. Okay, in Sabah they have they actually adopted English Arbitration Ordinance 1950, and in Sarawak they have Sarawak Arbitration Ordinance 1952, which incorporated in Federated of Malaysia after Sabah and Sarawak joined Peninsular Malaysia to form up Malaysia, Federated of Malaysia in 1963. Okay, and they have after that Malaysian Arbitration Act 1952, in which it is a lex arbitri until 2005. Lama tu maknanya kita ada Akta Arbitration Act, Malaysian Arbitration Act 1952, which applicable to us. Lex arbitri ni maksudnya adalah dia menjadi the main arbitration law from 1952 until 2005. Okay, so as well as you know, apabila dia menjadi satu undang-undang arbitration yang lama dipakai, maka dia ada masalah berkaitan dengan you know that economic change and also the growth of the commercial transaction. At the end of the day, Act 1952 ni failed to maintain its usefulness, and if you can see that it is deficient, not efficient, deficient, archaic, and also excessive court supervision. Because you need to know kenapa diorang nak ada arbitration, because they do not want to have court intervention. Tapi apabila kita dapat lihat from 1952 sampai 2005, there are quite a lot of cases in which both parties mula-mula pergi kepada arbitration, and after that one of them pergi kat court. So bila one of them pergi kat court, the issue would be sama ada court itu ada kuasa atau the issue would be arbitration tu tidak independent. Sebab whatever it is, there will be one party, they with their tricks go to the court to stop the arbitration proceeding. So akhirnya arbitration itu tidak efisien. Okay, tidak efisien. Okay, so itu yang membuatkan parties to the proceeding, they feel that arbitration is not providing sufficient powers to carry out its function effectively, and it did not deal sufficiently with interim measures, for example injunction, for example. Sebab satu masa dulu, if let's say that both parties bring the matter to arbitration, but they afraid, for example, what happen kalau the other party try to dispose dispose the asset or the property in which at the end of the day kalau diorang menang, pihak satu lagi tak boleh bayar sebab dia dah jual. So they need to have an injunction. So for injunction, arbitration cannot issue injunction at that time. So arbitration will go to court. So court will issue injunction on behalf of arbitration. Okay, so there is actually what we call as a deficiency in terms of the system. Okay, and normally bila arbitral tribunal telah pun dibentuk, maka there will always be a challenge. There will be always a challenge in which one of the parties tak bersetuju. Dia katalah arbitral tribunal ni tak layak untuk mendengar, ataupun arbitral tribunal ni actually one-sided. Okay, one-sided person. So they will not give a fair decision or award. So they will go to court. They will go to court to remove the arbitral tribunal. So at the end of the day, arbitration cannot work properly. Okay, so this is actually very important. And after that, bila Malaysia feel that we need to have a strong arbitration system in Malaysia. So in 1985, Malaysia had ratified the New York Convention. I mentioned to you just now New York Convention. Malaysia adalah ahli kepada New York Convention in 1985 bila kita ratify. Tetapi but before that, Malaysia tried to show that they are committed. They established AIAC, which is time known as Regional Centre for Arbitration Kuala Lumpur, RECAL, okay, in 1978. Okay, so you need to know that AIAC yang dulunya dikenali sebagai RCAKL is not government body, it's not a government agency, tapi dia adalah di bawah auspicious of Asian African Legal Consultative Organisation ataupun ALCO, which is an international organisation. Okay, international organisation yang govern semua arbitration center in the world for Asian African sahaja. Okay, so they call it ALCO. Ibu pejabat ALCO adalah di India. Okay, so RECAL ni adalah salah satu center based on the host country agreement with government of Malaysia and ALCO. Okay, so dia adalah NGO. However, dalam perjanjian tersebut, Malaysia kena provide immunity kepada director of AIAC. Sebab tu director of AIAC tu tarafnya macam duta. Sebab dia adalah NGO, kena provide facilities. Dia macam mahkamah lah. Mahkamah tu bukannya di bawah Jabatan Perdana Menteri. Mahkamah adalah independent. You all belajar tentang separation of powers. Okay? Dia bukan di bawah Jabatan Perdana Menteri. Tetapi secara pentadbirannya dia diletakkan di bawah Jabatan Perdana Menteri. Sebab kerajaan yang akan supply staff, kerajaan yang bayar gaji staff, kerajaan yang akan bagi peruntukan berkaitan dengan development. Nak bina mahkamah, baik pulih mahkamah adalah duit kerajaan. Okay? Jadi sama dengan AIAC, dia bukan di bawah Government of Malaysia. Tapi sebab Government of Malaysia akan pump duit bagi tujuan the maintenance of the infrastructure, for example. Okay? And to make sure there is no government intervention. Okay? Towards AIAC. So it is independent international body. Okay, so they adopt actually uncitral arbitration rule. Okay, jangan confuse atau pening kepala. Kita ratify New York Convention. New York Convention ni adalah model law untuk memastikan bahawa recognition of our arbitration decision for 100 plus countries. Itu adalah New York Convention. Uncitral arbitration rule ni adalah United Nation commercial berkaitan dengan uncitral United Nation Commissioner for Trade. Okay. Dia di bawah PBB iaitu UN. Jadi dia ada specific arbitration rule 1976 untuk govern international trade. Okay. Dan bagi tujuan tersebut, maka bagi membuatkan Malaysia menjadi sebuah negara yang menjadi pilihan destinasi untuk antarabangsa datang, okay, maka adanya pindaan Amendment towards Arbitration Act 1952 in which what we call as 1980 Amendment. Okay, amendment ni you all pun kena faham juga ya. Amendment ni adalah, apa yang dimaksudkan dengan amendment adalah pindaan kepada akta ini, yang mana kalau you all baca section 34 ini adalah pindaan kepada akta Arbitration 1952. Okay, notwithstanding anything contrary in this act or in any other written law but subject to subsection 2, insofar it relates to the enforcement of an award, the provision of this act and other written law shall not apply to any arbitration held under convention. Okay, under international convention. So, UNCITRAL tadi stand for United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, on International Trade Law. So, dia jadi satu isu oleh kerana terdapatnya pindaan ini. Kerana pindaan ini, kalau you dapat lihat kat sini, shall not apply to any arbitration. Meaning that, kalau you all dapat lihat di sini, amendment ini totally excluded the operation of Arbitration Act 1952 and any written law for two categories of arbitration, which is the international arbitration. Okay, international arbitration. Okay, so international arbitration tidak tertakluk kepada, maksudnya Arbitration Act tidak terpakai kepada international arbitration. So dia quite odd kat situ. Dia macam satu bentuk yang kita boleh katakan pelik kat situ. Sebab kalau kita dapat lihat, apa yang menjadi masalahnya adalah amendment ini did not follow the normal and logical divide between domestic and international, because we have domestic arbitration and international arbitration. Kita ada arbitration dalam negara. Okay, arbitration secara domestik, dan kita ada arbitration international. So did not follow the normal logical divide, okay, but followed the choice of regime in arbitration agreement. Okay, amendment ni clearly sebenarnya amendment ni try to encourage the use of KLRCA by other countries. Okay, and not wish to become involved in Malaysian courts. However, amendment ni gave no opportunity for any party to invoke court jurisdiction. So it caused delay and escalation of costs. Because you can see that amendment ni adalah yang kali pertama try to oust jurisdiction of the court, and court could not intervene or assist. So dia jadi problem sebab arbitral ada limited jurisdiction. I mentioned to you just now that arbitration cannot issue any injunction. So when you have this and when you take out the court jurisdiction, court cannot assist the arbitration. And in one of the case of Jati Erat Sdn Bhd versus City Land Sdn Bhd, actually confirm amendment, this amendment apply to any arbitration held under KLRCA rules. Okay, irrespective of whether the parties were local or international. So at the end of the day, ada case mengatakan okay, they try to say that akta ini terpakai kepada hanya terpakai bagi kes-kes arbitration yang tertakluk kepada KLRCA rules, okay, dan dia tidak kira sama ada orang itu adalah orang international ataupun lokal, okay. Tetapi dia adalah berdasarkan kepada pihak-pihak tersebut mestilah menggunakan KLRCA rules dan they cannot use international rules, okay. So itu sebenarnya yang melibatkan pindaan ni, yang mana pindaan 1980 ni dilihat sebagai pindaan yang agak odd berkaitan arbitration proceeding. Okay, boleh? Right?
Boleh.
Okay. Okay, baik. Right. Kita lihat kepada Arbitration Act 2005. Okay, Arbitration Act 2005 ni adalah on December 30th 2005, Parliament enacted Arbitration Act 2005. The effect of this particular act adalah dia adalah repeal dan dia replace Arbitration Act 1952. Okay. So by having this new act, now there are two category of arbitration, which is known as international arbitration and domestic arbitration. Okay, so this is the act that we have today. Okay, especially there are 5 parts, and part 3 only applicable for domestic arbitration. Okay, so nanti saya akan upload sekejap lagi sebab untuk grup Dr. Fadila, hari ini your tutorial group akan mula dengan arbitration. So for my group kita akan mula topik arbitration next week, next Monday. Okay. But there is actually an issue coming back into our lecture. But there is actually an issue between the old act of 1952 and the new act of 2005. Okay. So we have two cases. We have two cases actually, which mention about this, which is the first case of Putrajaya Holding versus Digital Greens yang Berhad, and second is Majlis Ugama Islam dan Adat Resam Melayu Pahang versus Far East Holding. So what happened in the case of Putrajaya Holding? The court say that the parties may choose whether to be governed by Act 1952 or by Arbitration Act 2005. Because why? Because why? Kenapa perkara ini berlaku? You may ask. Bukan Akta 2005 tu telah pun membuatkan Akta 1952 has been repealed. Okay. Is it has been repealed? Sekarang jadi isunya adalah apabila in Putrajaya Holding, it was actually a conflict regarding that particular contract, which is signed before Arbitration Act 2005 come into effect. Okay. Itulah juga yang berlaku pada Majlis Ugama Islam dan Adat Resam Melayu. So when the issues arose, so nak pakai mana satu? Okay. Nak pakai Akta 1952 or Akta 2005? So in the case of Putrajaya Holding, the party may choose whether want to use the previous enactment or the prevailing enactment. Okay. However, dia ada kelemahan tertentu. If let's say that you choose to adopt Arbitration Act 1952, okay, then the court cannot assist you. Okay, court cannot assist the matter. The court cannot assist the matter. Sebab as I mentioned to you regarding the amendment, amendment of section apa tadi? Ingat tak? Section 34. Section 34(1), okay, of Akta Arbitration 1952, dia telah pun mengeluarkan bidang kuasa bidang kuasa mahkamah. Okay, bidang kuasa mahkamah. Okay, what happened in the case of Putrajaya Holding? The fact show that defendant in Putrajaya Holding carried out some work for the plaintiff company, and since the plaintiff defaulted in making payment and owed a debt to the defendant commenced winding up proceeding against the plaintiff, to which plaintiff objected, and the defendant then filed a defense and a counterclaim. There was an arbitration clause in the agreement. The plaintiff sought to stay the court proceeding and it wanted to proceed to arbitration. Since the arbitration was commenced in 2007, the plaintiff naturally assumed that Arbitration Act 2005 would be the governing law. However, defendant contended that the matter should be governed by the Arbitration Act 1952. So the issue before the court was which statute was applicable. The salient issues to be considered whether Arbitration Act 2005 was to apply, then the defendant would not have been able to proceed with its court proceeding and the matter would have had to go to arbitration. Okay, there was no provision under Arbitration Act 2005 for the court to set aside the proceeding or to revoke the power of arbitrator as provided under Section 25. Okay, so the court say that the changes in the new 2005 Act is very substantial. As it allows the court jurisdiction to interfere when the parties agree in writing to refer the dispute to arbitration. And there is no similar provision under the Arbitration Act 1952. Okay, the defendant shall have not entered into the arbitration agreement with the plaintiff if the defendant were aware that it cannot refer the dispute to the court under the Act of 1952. Okay, so inilah sebenarnya yang jadi masalahnya. Sebab apa? The court intervention. So although this reasoning seems inconsistent with the provision of Arbitration Act 2005, it is actually tied back to a translation error because of misunderstanding of the English version of Arbitration Act 2005. Okay, so that is what happened in the case of Putrajaya Holding. Then however, in next case of Majlis Ugama Islam dan Adat Resam Melayu Pahang, okay, where the court held that although subject to arbitration clause referred to Arbitration Act 1952, the applicable legislation should be Arbitration Act 2005. Okay, so sepatutnya walaupun sebab dia ada clause dalam arbitration agreement, dia mengatakan if anything so must refer to Arbitration Act 1952 dalam kes Majlis Ugama Islam. Dia melibatkan again construction of building, okay, dan tidak ada bayaran yang dibuat berdasarkan kepada kontrak. Jadi walaupun agreement tu rujuk kepada Akta Arbitration 1952, tetapi sepatutnya akta yang sepatutnya diterima pakai adalah Arbitration Act 2005. Okay, so kita akan bincang in detail berkaitan kes Putrajaya Holding dan juga Majlis Ugama Islam ini di dalam tutorial. Dan mungkin manalah tahu sebahagian daripada you all punya case study. Okay, alright, sikit lagi kita akan bincangkan, kita akan lihat ada dua amendment yang penting iaitu amendment 2011 dan 2018. Alright, apa bezanya adalah amendment 2011 dia modify section, ada a few section, iaitu section 8 dia mengurangkan lagi campur tangan mahkamah. Section 10 dia mengeluarkan bidang kuasa mahkamah untuk stay proceeding. This is very important sebab kadang-kadang bila salah satu pihak membawa perkara itu kepada arbitration, dia ada parti akan pergi dekat court untuk minta stay of arbitration proceeding. Okay, so section 10 ni dia telah remove kuasa mahkamah untuk stay arbitration proceeding. Okay, Section 11 walau bagaimanapun Arbitration Act ni memberikan kuasa kepada mahkamah to order interim relief. This is very important. Contohnya injunction. Okay. Dan Section 30 kalau dapat dilihat di sini adalah berkaitan dengan to remove mandatory imposition of Malaysian law in domestic arbitration. So meaning that parties can choose, walaupun domestic arbitration they can use international law. Contohnya contract law, UK contract law. Okay. Dan section 42 kalau kita dapat lihat, satu masa dahulu kalau ada berkaitan dengan question of law, then you can bring up the matter to the court to decide. But now you can see that when it comes to question of law, the court tidak boleh lagi untuk entertain. So ini kita dapat lihat dalam kes Far East Holdings yang Berhad versus Majlis Ugama Islam dan Adat Resam Melayu Pahang. Kes ni agak popular sebab dia daripada High Court pergi ke Court of Appeal dan akhirnya dia pergi ke Mahkamah Persekutuan. So kita dapat lihat bahawa this is actually the amendment relating to 2011. In 2018 ada juga amendment yang berkaitan ya. Amendment 2018 satu amendment yang besar juga ya. Contohnya to include definition of arbitral tribunal to include emergency arbitrators. Apa maksud emergency arbitrators ya? Somehow you do not have in your agreement tak ada clause on arbitration. So the answer whether you can go or not for arbitrator. Can you opt for arbitration if there is no clauses of arbitration inside the agreement? Jawapannya adalah boleh. So that's why there is a special provision regarding the emergency arbitrators. Okay. So then we have another amendment, section 3A. You can choose to have a Malaysian lawyer or foreign lawyer to advise and represent your case in arbitral proceeding. Okay. So untuk tujuan ini sebab tu kita ada fly in, fly out. Apa maksud fly in, fly out? The amendment towards the Legal Profession Act, in which kalau masa dulu Legal Profession Act does not allow non-Malaysian qualified lawyers to practice. Okay, sebab kalau dia allow orang bukan warga negara untuk praktis jadi lawyer kat Malaysia, habislah mata pencarian lawyer-lawyer kita. Okay, tetapi kalau kita dapat lihat under this particular amendment dan juga dia ada amendment kepada section 36 and section 37 of Legal Profession Act, dia membenarkan any arbitrator lawfully acting in any arbitral proceeding or any person representing any party in arbitral proceeding or any person giving advice can be sama ada Malaysian lawyer or foreign lawyer. That is under section 3A. Section 4 adalah juga pindaan kepada section 4, in which section 4 to make it explicit that the question of arbitrability not only require consideration of public policy but also require whether the subject matter of the dispute is capable of settlement under the law of Malaysia. Arbitrability ni maksudnya dia macam application. What are the cases that can be referred to the arbitrator? So dalam section 4 dia menyebut bahawa when it comes to the question whether that particular subject matter can be brought for arbitration or not, okay? So you have to consider public policy and also whether that particular subject matter are capable of settlement under the law of Malaysia. Okay. Kemudian ada section 9 pula, pindaan adalah to include to include arbitration agreement concluded orally or otherwise. This is also very important as to include to broaden the scope of arbitration to include electronic communication. So now kalau tanya sama ada arbitration agreement tu kalau tak kan kena bertulis ya. Sekarang ni bukan setakat bertulis ya. If you can record the thing using your phone or any other means, okay, electronic means, okay, it is capable of being enforced under the Arbitration Act 2005. So this is very important under section 9. Okay. Kemudian a long section of section 11, 18 in which they introduce section 19A until section 90J. Ini adalah something in which saya bagi tahu you all kan, arbitration has a limited tak ada langsung kuasa untuk mengeluarkan interim measures. Contoh you nak minta injunction daripada arbitration, tak boleh sebab dia tak ada bidang kuasa, tak ada disebut dalam akta. Tapi by having amendment in 2018, sekarang ni if you choose arbitration, the arbitral tribunal has the power to issue interim measures. Okay, contoh macam under specific relief, okay, specific relief, injunction, mandatory ataupun mandamus for example. Okay, so these are something in which can be issued by the arbitrators. Okay, Dan section 19H a new section which actually recognize the award or orders granted by emergency arbitrator. Emergency arbitrator ni adalah when you appoint arbitrator in the first place, then it is not according to sebab dia tak ada dalam arbitration agreement, okay, and you need to appoint arbitrator on the ad hoc basis. So for that particular situation, the act recognize the involvement of the emergency arbitrator. Okay, what else? Section 30 amendment follow Article 28 now does not distinguish between domestic and international arbitration, meaning that if there is any dispute, this for domestic and international arbitration will be equally treated. Okay, and it requires the arbitral tribunal to decide dispute in accordance with the rules of law chosen by parties to govern the substance. Okay. Section 33 memberikan kuasa kepada arbitral tribunal to award interest. Section 41A dan 41B pindaan berkaitan dengan confidentiality provision, dan juga section 42 and 43 has been repealed, in which court cannot intervene. Court cannot intervene. There is no more court intervention to set aside arbitration award. Okay, so arbitration award now cannot be set aside by the court. Okay, itu adalah berkaitan dengan pindaan kepada section 42 as well as section 43. Impact kepada pindaan section 42 and 43 adalah, firstly, parties will no longer be able to bring question of law before the High Court after an award has been rendered. Okay, and number 2 adalah section 37 of Arbitration Act 2005 is now the only recourse by parties to seek to set aside of an award. This is the provision which has been used by Malaysian court to set aside arbitral award, but you need to see that section 37 is only limited. Section 37 in the limited circumstances, okay, for them yang mana nanti kita akan lihatlah berkaitan. So this is the impact the impact of the arbitration pindaan kepada Arbitration Act 2018. So as for the conclusion, why do we have these particular changes of law? Actually to make sure that Malaysia as a safe seat. Safe seat maksudnya you akan belajar nanti seat of arbitration. Seat of arbitration adalah where you are going to have that particular arbitration in Malaysia. Okay, so if let's say the other party choose Malaysia as the seat of arbitration, seat ni maksudnya tempat lah, tempat di mana you buat arbitration. So you are going to feel safe and secure for both domestic and international arbitration. Because we are actually try to compete ourselves with Singapore International Arbitration. Sebab in this particular region, yang paling kata orang tu orang pergi adalah Singapore International Arbitration and juga Hong Kong International Arbitration. Because you can see that Singapore, they have a very structured legislation that cover the power in which they are totally try to separate between court and arbitration tribunal. Okay, so this is at the end of the day will attract more international commercial arbitration to Malaysia. Okay, and it will be more attractive to use arbitration domestically to resolve dispute, thereby reducing the case burden in the court and bringing tangible benefit to the country. Okay, and you must remember that by having the amendment in 2018, the name of KLRC has been changed to AIAC, which is intended to enable the center to take more international approach in offering its services. Okay. And the changes is not just to change the name, but in 2018, Malaysia had joined a cooperation with other Asian countries, ASEAN countries, with 10 ASEAN countries to have a mechanism, a common agreement to have a mechanism to settle their dispute. Okay. So by having amendment in 2018 and in 2011 and 2018, sorry, by having these two amendment, the arbitral regime now has been overhauled and Malaysia is now in tandem with the leading arbitral seats. Okay. So sekali lagi kita akan guna perkataan seats ni adalah sebagai apa? Venue. Okay. When it comes, kalau you baca mana-mana apa teks mengatakan seats of arbitration, itu bermaksud venue of arbitration. Tapi kita tak panggil venue lah, kita panggil seats of arbitration. Okay. Alright. Okay. So thank you. Is there any other question? Is there any question? Is there any question? Saya akan letakkan Arbitration Act 2005 dalam MS Team sebentar lagi bersama-sama dengan slide ini for the purpose of tutorial group Dr. Fadilah yang akan hari ini mula membincangkan isu arbitration. Okay. Dan for my group TLB 1, 2, 3 kita akan bincangkan arbitration next Monday. Okay. Ada apa-apa soalan? Dan sekali lagi saya nak ulang berkaitan dengan submission of your mediation task. Okay. You boleh submit esok, okay, sepanjang hari sehinggalah pukul 11.59 malam. Jangan dia pergi sampai masuk 3 hari bulan dan tak boleh lah ya. Any late submission will not be accepted. Jangan risau, not to worry much, just submit, okay. And we are going to dan the submission tu adalah untuk semua TLB termasuk TLB Dr. Fadilah dan Dr. Hamid. Okay. Submit dalam MS Team ya. Because nanti kita akan nilai lah kita akan nilai task tersebut. Right? Is there any question?
Doktor.
Ya. Yeah.
Doktor, kiranya kan macam yang arbitral tribunal ni dia independently kan doktor, betul tak?
Yeah, independently. They actually appointed by parties.
Okay, thank you doktor.
Okay. Dan arbitral tribunal ni tak semestinya peguam. Okay, dia ada engineers, dia ada surveyors, okay. Dia ada accountant, okay? Sebab dia are specialized in that particular area. Ada soalan-soalan lain?
Doktor.
Ya.
Yeah. Nanti yang assignment tu, doktor akan buat folder baru ke?
Ya, saya akan buat folder baru. Jangan submit dulu hari ni Submit esok bila dah ada foldernya. Dia akan ada 2 different folder ya dalam assignment tu ya. Satu adalah folder untuk agreement to mediate. Folder kedua adalah settlement agreement. Sebab saya minta you buat 2 je. Kalau tiba-tiba dia kata dia buat 3, satu lagi mediation agreement. Mediation agreement tu adalah settlement agreement. Okay. Alright. Okay. Ada soalan lain? Okay. Ada soalan lain ke? Semua okay? Okay, we have okay, so far okay. I'm not sure. We have only 87 of us this morning. Saya telah diminta untuk mengambil attendance you all. Tapi saya kena berterus terang bahawa saya percayakan you all. Dan attendance adalah berdasarkan kepada assignment semata-mata. Okay. Sebab saya faham in terms of online ni mungkin you all tak ada we still take into account the accessibility. Okay. Namun pada masa yang sama I need to inform you that walaupun saya percaya, saya harap you all dapat menunaikan amanah sebagaimana kepercayaan yang telah saya berikan ya. So I cannot know whether you all attend ataupun tak sebab saya pun belum kenal you all lagi. So I believe that you all tidak hadir ada sebab-sebab tertentu. Okay. Jadi pesan dekat member you all, please participate when we have a class sebab ADR memang totally online. CPC there will be instances in which you all kemungkinan besar saya akan jumpa you all untuk CPC. secara face to face. Tetapi untuk ADR, it is totally online basis. Okay. And I know that you are going to be the same person untuk CTC as well. Okay. But that having said that, please participate. Okay, please participate because ilmu ni adalah satu ilmu yang kita boleh kongsi, dan untuk you all, pada saya, you all wajib tahu. Sebab this is something which we have now in Malaysia, dan saya tak nak graduan USIM terkebelakang in terms of dispute resolution mechanism in Malaysia. Okay. On my part, saya dengan Dr. Fadila and Dr. Hamid, we will provide the best sources, resources for all of you. If you need to have access to AIAC, if you need to know more further from the practitioners, let us know, let me know, so that I can make arrangement for you. Okay, but please participate, and please, if you know that your friend is not here, for example, let them know that I want them to participate. Okay, right? Okay, ada apa soalan lain?
Doktor,
Okay.
saya just nak confirmation, kiranya untuk arbitration ni, arbitrator tu dia expert lah.
Ya,
So, hanya expert. Okay,
dia tak
lepas tu
semestinya lawyer.
oh, tak semestinya lawyer. And then kalau yang untuk yang mediator, negotiator tu, orangnya, maksudnya the third party tu siapa?
Oh, okay, dia macam ni. They can be the same person, they can be anybody. It is just that untuk mediation, the function of mediator and the function of arbitrator is different. Arbitrator ni anggaplah dia macam hakim, tapi dia private judge. Sebab dia appointed by parties yang bear the cost for arbitrator. Okay, meaning that they are going to pay the arbitrator. So they need to have a qualities of arbitrator which is professional, expert, and so on. Okay, so arbitrator will decide on your matter. Mediator does not decide. Mediator did not decide. Yeah, mediator is not the decision maker, but arbitrator is a decision maker. At the end of the day, arbitrator keluarkan apa? Arbitrator tak keluarkan judgment, tapi dia akan keluarkan award. Mediation, at the end of the day, dia akan ada mediation agreement. Okay, in which it will stand as an agreement under the Contract Act 1950. Tapi untuk arbitration, at the end of the day, dia akan keluarkan keputusan, nama dia award. Dan award ini adalah as good as a judgment by court. Okay, so itu beza di antara mediator dengan arbitration.
Okay. Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you, Hanis. Ada soalan lain? Saya suka kalau you bertanya ni. Masih ada masa lagi ni. Cik.
Doktor,
Ya.
siapa biasanya yang akan prepare arbitration agreement ni?
Oh, arbitration agreement ni normally akan prepare by by both parties. You kena ingat arbitration agreement ni dia bukan macam dia bukan macam agreement to mediate. Dia dah ada di dalam the main agreement. Contoh kalau agreement construction contract contoh kan. Dalam construction contract dia akan ada satu clause berkaitan dengan dispute resolution. So dalam clause dispute resolution tu dia akan ada berkaitan arbitration, dan that particular clause itulah kita panggil sebagai arbitration agreement.
Okay, Doktor. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other question?
Doktor,
Yeah.
Kan in arbitration, the arbitrator will give the awards, right?
Yes.
And the nature of that award, is it final? And if it is final, if the nature of the award is final, can it be like, will there be any appeal rayuan ke atas tu?
Okay. Arbitration award is final. Okay, it is as good as judgment by the court. That's why if let's say if the parties get the award in their favor, they will go to the court to for a recognition and enforcement. Okay, because it is as good as the court punya judgment. If the parties feel that the award is unfair, they can go under section 37 for the award to be set aside, but on a very limited circumstances. Okay, it is not an appeal, but it is a mechanism for the court to set aside.
I see.
But on a very limited circumstances via Amendment 2018. Okay.
Right.
Next week we are next week make sure that you all ada Arbitration Act 2005. Okay. Kalau tak ada saya akan upload dalam MS Team ya. Okay.
Sure.
Any other question? Thank you Syahmi. Dan saya boleh nampak you all bila tanya soalan tu maknanya you all faham. Alhamdulillah. Ada soalan lain? Semua okey?
Okey.
Doktor, saya ada soalan.
Alright, okay.
Okay, as the arbitration ni kita dah agreed upon the contract, so boleh ke diorang nak proceed juga kepada court litigation even dah agreed pada awal-awal contract tu?
Oh, that is a good question. Okay, macam gini. Under Arbitration Act, okay, under Arbitration Act, if let's say that you go for arbitration and the other party will try their best to do their tricks to file the matter to the court, okay? And bila court tahu bahawa you have arbitration case, the court will stay their proceeding and they will pave way for arbitration first. Okay? So which mean there will be no parallel dispute resolution proceeding. Maksudnya dia tak akan ada arbitration dengan court proceeding jalan serentak, tak. Meaning that kalau court tahu adanya case arbitration, court akan stay, berhentikan proceeding dia buat sementara waktu pending arbitration. Dan kalau misal kata arbitration selesai, award tu dah keluar, mesti dia tanya, oh what happened dengan court proceeding? If let's say that award dah keluar dan pihak berpuas hati, then dia akan tarik balik case dekat court. Kalau misal kata mereka tak berpuas hati, they can proceed with the court proceeding. Okay, they can proceed with the court proceeding because it is two different cases. Two different nature. Okay, two different nature between arbitration and also court proceeding. Okay. Sebab apa saya kata two different nature? For arbitration, bila diorang pergi arbitration, it is failure to pay, for example, failure to honour the contract. Sebab tu satu pihak pergi pada arbitration. Kenapa diorang pergi dekat court? Because dia pergi kat court, dia akan kata bahawa the validity of that particular agreement is being they are questioning the validity of that particular agreement. They say that they have no obligation, for example, or they say that the agreement say otherwise. So there is a different claim actually between arbitration and also court. Okay, so that's why the court will stop the proceeding to pave way for arbitration. If the arbitration finish, then they will resume if the parties still want to proceed. Okay, Had?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Doktor.
Welcome.
Then next question. Tak apa. Silakan.
Tak apa, Had. Sama.
Tak, soalan saya hari ni tak ada tweet ke, Doktor? Tu je.
Rupanya rindu kat Twitter Okay, ada sekejap. Oh iyalah. Betul lah. Tak ada tweet
Doktor nak tanya satu soalan boleh ke?
Boleh.
Doktor, tadi kan kalau tak salah saya doktor kata, let's say lah kalau macam kita dah ada arbitration punya clause. Lepas tu kalau ada parti tu bawa kes tu pergi court akan bagi laluan kepada arbitration dulu kan?
Ya.
Dan kalau tak puas hati baru boleh pergi court balik.
Ya.
Itu tak dikira macam challenge arbitral award ke, doktor?
Tak. Challenging arbitral award is different. Challenging arbitral award adalah dia macam ni. Because the cause of action is different. You file the matter to the court because of the cause of action pertaining to that particular agreement. You bukan file the matter dekat court because you are challenging the arbitral punya award. Okay, so there are two different things. You will only file to challenge meaning that to set aside selepas award tu dikeluarkan. Okay, but bila dalam situasi seperti itu tadi, maknanya satu pihak tu dia akan filekan dekat arbitration, satu pihak dia akan filekan dekat court. Okay, maknanya yang filekan dekat court tu adalah berdasarkan kepada cause of action towards the original contract that the dispute arose. So dia tak sama dengan challenging the award. Boleh faham ke? Okay kan?
Faham Doktor.
Okay, thank you Filza. Oh, sekejap saya tengah. Okay, ada soalan lain sementara saya tengah Twitter ni. Asyik baik Had ingatkan. Bukan apa. Saya pun kadang-kadang terlupa kan.
Terima kasih Had.
Sama-sama. Kalau yang segan respon dekat sini, respon dekat Twitter je. Tak apa.
Saya nampak tu ada respon kat Twitter. Thank you very much sekejap. Okay.
Doctor, I got one simple question.
Yes.
Is there any limitation number of arbitrator appointment? Seorang, dua orang, 10?
Wow. Dia depends on the parties. Depends on the parties, okay? You can have as many as you can in an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 9. But I believe that paling ramai pun yang ada, dia macam ni. For domestic arbitration, dia ada dalam Akta Arbitration Act 2005. For domestic arbitration, minimum one arbitrator. For international arbitration, minimum 3. Okay, minimum 3. Boleh tak kita ada 2 arbitrator? Boleh, bukan tak boleh. Tapi nanti dia akan jadi masalah lah. Kan, kalau satu setuju, satu tak setuju, macam dia buat keputusan kan? Dia tak ada halangan berkaitan tu. Tapi in odd number, meaning that better to have odd number lah. Minimum 3 untuk international arbitration, minimum 1 untuk domestic arbitration. Sebab you kena ingat parties akan berkira-kira sebab arbitrator dibayar oleh pihak-pihak.
Oh, maksudnya doktor, kalau diorang lantik tu kena bayar fees lah.
Ya. Fees will be borne by parties totally. Fees daripada arbitrator, fees untuk tempat buat arbitration tu, okay? Fees, all the fees, okay, will be borne together on 50-50 basis, okay? Tapi kalau misal kata satu parti tu kalah, maksudnya award tu not favourable to him, so dia akan pay the whole fees, okay?
Doktor, arbitrator mesti kaya kan?
Nak kata kaya tak kaya boleh tahan lah. Sebab fees dia orang selalunya puluh-puluh ribu dan dia berdasarkan kepada charge per hours. Okay, saya dah post. Pohon retweet. Pohon retweet. Mana yang dah follow saya tu, terima kasih. Oh, patutlah Had tanya. Dia yang post Okay, thank you Had. Latih industri Okay, thank you Eliana to be the first person retweet Eliana. Seorang lagi tu saya tak nampak. Mungkin sebab account you all adalah account private kot. Alright, any other question? Sambil-sambil tu jangan lupa ya, Twitter saya. Hak dah tanya tu, kena wajib retweet tu. Dan juga please respond. Kalau you all respond, meaning that I'm happy to read that based on your posting, you understand of my topic today. Hari ni kita touch on basis dulu ya. Maknanya kita tengok sebenarnya adanya pindaan dan sebagainya. We are going to go into detail next week into the particular section by section. Okay. Ada soalan lain? Oh, tengah busy menaik Twitter ni.
Doktor,
Ya, saya.
saya nak tanya
Ya.
untuk arbitration ni, dia kan untuk resolve dispute within the parties. So dalam arbitration ni dia macam ada konsep macam mana, admission of liability macam tu. Maksudnya macam untuk menentukan juga which one part of the party that liable to the dispute tu, ke sekadar untuk solve dispute semata?
Oh, okay. Okay, good question Hanis. Dia macam ni. When it comes to arbitration when it comes to arbitration and court, they are going to determine two main issues. First is liability, second is quantum of damages. Okay. First liability, second quantum of damages. Okay. Mediation, kita tak bincang tentang liability. Sebab mediation kita bincang how to resolve the issues amicably. Maksudnya, dia redha at the end of the day berkaitan dengan apa yang telah diputuskan. Sebab tu adanya kontrak. The end product of mediation is a contract. The end product of arbitration and the court is award or judgment. In which of course salah seorang akan tak redha sampai habis. Sebab tu dia akan buat rayuan dan sebagainya. Okay. So, when it comes to arbitration, of course, the first thing is the liability. In terms of liability, yes, there will be instances in which one of the party will admit, okay, not the whole but part of that particular liability, okay. But if the other party admit the whole liability, dia tak bawa lah benda tu pergi arbitration dengan court, sebab it can be settled outside from court, out of court settlement ataupun out of arbitration settlement. Okay. So you must remember, when it comes to when it comes to arbitration, when it comes to court, you buat civil litigation kan, you belajar tentang civil litigation. The most important part adalah first cause of action. Okay. Lepas tu apa, at the end of the day, diorang akan apa, you need to establish liability first, then you establish the damages. Okay, so the court or the arbitrator will decide on the liability first. If liability 100% towards you, then if the damages is 100,000, then 100,000 will be given to you kalau you menang, and the other parties will have to pay. Tapi kalau liability tu 50-50, so the 100,000 yang sepatut you dapat tu, tapi sebab liability 50-50 will be sliced into 50%. Okay, boleh? Faham ke Hanis?
Faham.
Alright. Terima kasih. Oi, terang hati lah you all ni . Any other question? Saja nak share dengan you all lah berkaitan dengan latihan industri tu tadi. Kenapa saya kata you all kena pilih tempat yang strategik ya? Sebab kita buat latihan industri, dia semua bergantung pada niat ya. Saya pun bergantung pada niatnya. Niat saya nak keluar rumah untuk beli buku. Saya keluar hanya beli buku, kemudian saya balik. Kenapa saya nak beli buku? Sebab saya nakkan pengetahuan daripada buku tersebut. Okay. Tapi boleh tak saya pergi melencong ke tempat-tempat lain? Bukan tak boleh. Contoh, pergi kedai buku untuk makan dan sebagainya kan. Sebab dah kebetulan lalu kedai buku kan. Untuk latihan industri, niat you apa? Okay, apa, you kena pasang niat untuk latihan industri ni apa? Sudah semestinya lah niat you untuk dapatkan seberapa banyak ilmu dan juga apa juga ilmu ni terbahagi kepada sama ada ilmu pengetahuan ataupun kemahiran, skill, okay, yang peguam ataupun pihak-pihak yang tempat you ada tu, yang you boleh dapat, yang you boleh kutip, yang you boleh garap. Okay. Sebab itu kita bagi you all buat latihan industri. Kalau you pilih tempat-tempat yang terlalu besar, sampaikan ada di antara student-student, saya tak pasti student USIM. Kalau student tempat lama saya tu siap dia buat dekat court, dia hanya buka pintu hakim, tolong bawa beg hakim. Okay, contohnya lah kan. Bawa buku hakim, meaning that you tak belajar. Okay. Sedangkan benda tu tak payah masuk universiti pun you boleh buat kan. Tapi maksud saya, carilah tempat yang you boleh dapatkan ilmu dia tu. Okay, sebab apa yang kita ajar di universiti adalah ilmu substantive law dan a bit of practical. Tapi you nak lihat macam mana practical tu to be put into action. Dekat court contoh, you kena pergi melalui legal firm contoh. Ataupun nak lihat macam mana ya keadaan sebenar dekat Jabatan Bantuan Guaman. Okay. Sebab banyak cerita berkaitan dengan apa ni, isu-isu semasa. You akan pergi dan you akan tengok kat sana ya, betapa kata orang tu masyarakat kita ada pelbagai konflik dan masalah. Even ada kes yang terbaru sempena PKPB ni kita dapat lihat peningkatan kes mencederakan diri sampai ke tahap ada yang kes bunuh diri ya, cubaan bunuh diri meningkat. Okay. So kita ada isu-isu yang mengaitkan masyarakat yang mana kita sebagai yang nanti akan jadi graduan FSU, kita ni akan menjadi penyelesai kepada konflik komuniti dan semasa. Oleh sebab itu yang membezakan kita dengan orang lain adalah kita berilmu. Dan ilmu itu adalah perlu untuk diamalkan dan perlu untuk dikongsi untuk kebaikan bersama sebab nanti dia adalah bekal kepada kita di kemudian hari. Okey. Panjang pula ceramah saya. Minta maaf lah kerana terkeluar daripada topik. Tapi ada soalan lain ke?
Doktor.
Ya.
Alang doktor dah cakap pasal intern ni kan. Just nak tahu macam tadi kan doktor suggest for us to look for small medium punya firms, right? How exactly that we want to know whether that firm is small medium ke ataupun firm kecil-kecil ke? Macam mana tu? Saya kurang jelas kat situ.
Oh, okay. Most of the firm sekarang dah ada Facebook dan dah ada website sendiri. Firm besar ni dikategorikan sebagai firm yang mana dia ada banyak branch dan dia ada ramai lawyer. Okay. Firm sederhana ni adalah lawyer dia adalah tidak terlalu ramai, tidak terlalu sedikit dan dia ada buat kes-kes tertentu yang kita boleh nampak lah dalam Facebook tu boleh nampak lah sebab diorang massively dia tak boleh advertise, iklankan firma guaman mereka. Tetapi dalam bentuk dalam Facebook tu, they try to tell people what they are doing. Okay. So, dia berdasarkan, okay, sekarang pun you all ada practitioner. Mungkin you boleh tanya practitioner you all, firm-firm mana yang you rasakan sesuai dengan nature dan juga nature of law yang you all nak pergi. Contoh, saya minat kriminal. Contoh lah kan, saya minat kriminal. Kriminal ni bukan setakat criminal law di bawah penal code. Kriminal ni dia adalah besar dalam kategori criminal justice. So criminal justice ni dia meliputi sistem penjara, sistem polis, okay, sistem mahkamah, okay, Dan dia adalah satu branch yang mana ada criminal lawyer yang memang dedicated buat perkara tersebut. Contoh Datuk Baljit lah dia buat, dia memang criminal lawyer. Okay. Kalau you minat corporate kan, then you kena tahu firm-firm corporate yang macam mana. Apa yang you rasa you minat. So dia berdasarkan kepada first minat you, dua you try lihat kepada firm-firm yang mungkin you just browse through dalam internet sebagai sumber untuk you cari. Okay. Dan dia berdasarkan kepada minat you. Kalau you rasa you nak in action, you nak tengok, sebab bukan saya tak kasih all buat dekat mahkamah. Tapi mahkamah ni, especially nowadays PKPB, I'm afraid that tak ada banyak case yang dibuat secara face to face. At the end of the day, you hanya belajar register cases je lah, tukang chop dan sebagainya. Tapi kalau dekat lawyers firm, dekat agency tertentu, you will learn their core business. What are their core business? Okay, so that you can grab their skills. Okay ke Syami? So dah boleh lah you nak browse through, cari daripada Facebook ke mana-mana kan, firm-firm tertentu.
Okay, alright, thank you Doktor.
Welcome. Ada soalan lain? Alright, okay. Kalau tak ada soalan, dah pukul 11 pagi. Sekali lagi terima kasih ya, terima kasih kepada you all. Alhamdulillah kita dapat settle topik untuk week 7. Please. Alright, thank you Had yang respon ya berkaitan amendment 2018. Okay. You know the good part of being the first one who respond. The first one yang respond adalah you have many things to say. Okay, you have many things to say. You have various of sources. So kalau misalnya kata you lambat respond, meaning that orang tu dah ambil dulu dah apa yang idea nak cakap kan. Tapi tak apalah. It doesn't matter sebab we have our style kan of elaborating to elaborate or to rephrase our ideas. Okay, so tak apa, itu nanti you akan belajar when the time comes. Okay, right, okay. Sekali lagi terima kasih kepada semua, stay safe. Okay, saya minta maaf kalau ada terkasar bahasa dan I try to give my best untuk you all and I hope that kita boleh benefit the knowledge together, right? Okay. Sekian, wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you, Doktor.
Right, thank you guys.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Doktor.
Gerak lu geng.
Berperu je, geng.
Paparoro.